We are live on 104.5 The Zone TV and A to Z Sports, reacting instant post-game analysis as the Nashville Predators drop Game 5, 3-2, another overtime. Not so much a thriller as just almost what it feels like moments in when the Predators looked like they had the momentum, garnering a penalty on the power play, an interference call, and Alex Carrier makes it 4-on-4, and Jordan Staal bangs in the game-winning goal, and Carolina wins 3-2 to take the series lead 3-2. Lucas Panzica, Alex Daugherty with you. Don't have much time with Alex, so Alex, let's dive in here as you get ready to jump on to media availability to hear from head coach John Hynes and the players. It felt like such a positive performance through three periods. It felt like the Preds were frustrating the Canes, and then it ends in heartbreak, but felt like a lot to ask for to win three overtime games in a row against this Carolina Hurricanes team.
Yeah, you really feel like it's a missed opportunity for Nashville. I think that they played, for the most part, I think it's pretty clear they played their best game in Carolina so far in that game. I mean, they get the early goal. They go up 1-0. The Hurricanes tie it. They go up 2-1, and then the wraparound goal, Nikash scores the second goal. Scored both goals actually. And then you just have these opportunities for the Predators to put it away. I think it's safe to say that in the third period, they were playing pretty sound defensively for most of that period, shutting down the opportunities by Carolina, stifling them in the neutral zone. And then as soon as Carolina broke through, they hit another gear. And, the Predators in overtime, they get the power play. And this is where, people are going to digest this or dissect rather this post game this overtime. They get the power play on a good call. I mean, it was definitely an interference, and they get the power play, and then Sebastian Aho skates into Alex Carrier. I mean, clearly skates into him and draws an equalizing penalty, and then so it goes back down to 4-on-4, and then almost immediately. Jordan Staal is tied up in front of the net, I think, with Ryan Johansson. There's a bouncing puck. He gets a stick on it, and it goes through UC Saros on the 5-hole. Really unfortunate bounce. Again, lots of missed opportunities. Cody said it best. We should have won this one. If they get to, that's exactly right. If they get to Game 7, if they win Thursday, if the Preds win Thursday, and they somehow get to Game 7, I don't think you could count on a better opportunity than this one. So you really had to capitalize on that one. Man, it was rough to see them to see them play so well, especially in the third period. Like I said, I mean, the first 10 minutes of the third period, I think Carolina had 2 shots on goal. That was pretty impressive. But as soon as they got that tying goal, it was the floodgates opened.
Let's go back to the start here. Alex, you talked about the biggest key in this game, getting off to a positive start, the carryover from that double overtime win on Sunday. That's exactly what they did. Got that first power play, generated some chances early, and then you get that goal, that kind of Roman Josi shot that deflects a bit off Yakov-Trenin, and Trenin ends up getting credited with the goal. The Preds got off to a positive start in all three periods today, which is why you felt like they were on track to get that road win. But what an individual effort there by Nate just late in the third period with the wraparound goal. You've talked a lot about UC Saros, how good he is moving laterally, and that's such a big strength of his, but he couldn't move quick enough on that goal by Nitchus. It ends up providing the difference as that sends the game to OT, and the Canes take it in Game 5.
Yeah, I was unfortunate on that goal because, part of it is the third pairing. I mean, Ben Harper just kind of stood there. That decision for a defenseman when Nitchus is coming down, that decision for the defenseman has to be made pretty early. You got to decide: are you going to step out on this guy? Is he speeding toward the goal, or is he going to pull it back? Because if he pulls it back and you come out on him, then there's a wide open back door. Right. So he decided to stay there. What he didn't know, and if he had looked up, he'd seen Matt Benning already had the front of the net covered. So if he just follows that guy around the net, or at least goes to the far side to stop the wraparound, he's got that covered. So Ben Harper made a bad decision. He wasn't moving his feet. I think it was Duchesne covering him. Is that right? If I remember correctly.
I believe so.
Following the guy. But he already beat Duchesne, so I don't think Duchesne really had much of a chance. And yes, Tim Barber brings up we had chances to go ahead 3-1 in the third. multiple chances. Johansson had a chance in the slot. They had a power play. It would have been huge early on in the third to get them up 3-1. There were chances. I can't remember some of the individual chances, but there were plenty of chances for Nashville because remember that Nashville was sitting back and allowing Carolina or not allowing Carolina to come through. They had chances on the counter. I mean, like they had some chances. Some of them were just 2-on-2 where they couldn't really get a pass into a dangerous area. But that's sometimes it's all it takes. I mean, they've scored a lot like that. So I don't know. I wonder if we're going to see, as some people have talked about, if we're going to see changes on the bottom pairing going on a Thursday. Not to get ahead of things, but Fabro, you got to feel like he's probably better than Harper at this point. Probably maybe better than Benning. Maybe he's battling an injury. I don't know, but.
Right.
Yeah, just a total missed opportunity. I mean, a huge missed opportunity for Nashville.
Just saw the comment from Christian Cardoza said, we're playing defense 90% of the game. We need to take more shots. I mean, look, that's just the game the Preds have to play against the Carolina Hurricanes. It feels like they have to weather the storm for the majority of the 3 periods. They did that well for most of the game today. The issue when it comes to that is Preds were outshot 37-25. They're going to be outshot by the Carolina Hurricanes every single game. That's just how this series is going to work. You just have to take advantage of those opportunities when your stars are presented with them in the crease, right in front of the net, and the Preds missed some huge opportunities late. Alex Johansson, that miss with 12 minutes left was huge. Duchesne with a big miss with 3 minutes left. He was teed up very well by Johansson. I mean, these are the guys we've been talking about all season that played well in Bridgestone Arena over the weekend, but just missed opportunities. The whole game, yes, is a missed opportunity because of the way the Preds played, but just specifically some of those opportunities late in the offensive zone that could have iced this game away are going to come back to haunt the Preds as they drop Game 5.
The other thing is you got to think about they got something that they hadn't gotten recently, and that's depth scoring. They got their fourth line to contribute offensively. Yeah, Yakov Trenin. I mean,
2 goals.
That counterattack was perfect for what they do, and they've been doing that kind of thing all season. The tipped goal, to begin, could have been really Roman Yossi's goal, but the credit did go to Trenin. But they finally got depth scoring, and now we watched the top line dominate games 3 and 4, and tonight they couldn't finish. I mean, at some point you got to think, where's Philip Forsberg? Why hasn't he put the puck in the net in a while? Ryan Johansson missed opportunities. I'll have to go back and watch that play that Jordan Stahl scored. It looked like Johansson got tied up with him. I'll have to go rewatch that and see exactly how that played out. But Duchesne, yeah, exactly. There was also a chance in the third. I'm sorry, yes, in the third where Johansson and Roman Josi had shots available and passed.
Right.
It was like 2 or 3 plays right in a row where they had shot opportunities and they passed. Especially the Roman Josi one where he had Nedeljkovic moving in net and he elected to pass back to the middle. And if he shoots that on net, it might be a goal. So just a really, I mean, we talked before this game about the Predators' troubles in Game 5. I think you can add this one to the list. I mean, just in terms of the missed opportunities. Now, can they go and win at home on Thursday in a late game, 8:30 start to force a Game 7? Yeah, I think that they can do that. They showed on this weekend and tonight even that they can beat this team. But I just don't know if they can come back and win a Game 7. So my prediction of Preds in 6 is not going to hold up, but maybe Preds in 7. I think the Carolina Hurricanes could have some momentum going into Thursday and finish it out. But just a really and let's also talk about UC Saros because that guy once again kept them in it. And I know that there's a lot of that going on with the Predators these days where UC Saros is your best player, but again, he was the best player.
He was. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Preds are 0 for 3 on the power plays. They fall in Game 5, 3-2. Your takeaway on the 9 line, Duchesne, Johansson, Forsberg. We've talked about the missed chances, but just their overall performance. What's your instant reaction?
The overall the 9 line, the top line was just wasn't good enough tonight. Now they generating chances, they did a fair amount of that. Tonight it was just not finishing. It was just not finishing when they needed to. I think the Granlund line wasn't very good either. The middle 2 lines weren't solid. But remember what they were trying to do. I mean, what they were doing was they were playing a trap. I mean, in the third period, the first 10 minutes of the third period, they were playing that neutral zone trap perfectly. The left wing sits back as a third defenseman, prevents any guys from skating through, forces a dump or a turnover, and gets it back out. It was clockwork for 10 minutes until one guy breaks through with speed and gets that wraparound goal. So all it takes is one breakthrough for the trap to break down, and that's what happened.
It feels like, and I know you're going to have to bolt here in a minute, so just whenever you need to go, I know you'll head out. Alex Daugherty getting set to go to media availability as the Preds fall 3-2 in Game 5. Now behind 3-2 as the series returns to Nashville for Game 6 on Thursday. It feels like a formula, though, was laid out throughout the three periods today before the overtime on how to beat Carolina. I mean, the Preds, to me, Alex, looked like a team that knows what it needs to do to win. The approach, I don't know, felt more structured. You feel like there's more of an effort to get pucks on net, to get in front of shots for blocks. Saw that over the weekend as well. Maybe some of the intangible things that'll kind of offset the talent differentials, the speed differentials. Felt like you were seeing that through three periods. There were so many positives. You win that challenge to overturn a goal early. You get off to good starts. They were frustrating the Hurricanes throughout the game. That's what they have to do. So it just kind of exacerbates the disappointment of coming away with an overtime loss. But it felt like they did a lot of the right things today.
I'm not sure what Kung Fu Hillbilly is talking about with this glorified figure skating. I think he's talking about the neutral zone trap, I believe. I'm not sure. Look, that's how plenty of teams have won Stanley Cups before, so it wins. But some people are saying, does it even matter if they win Thursday? Well, I mean, if you're a fan of this team and you want to see them win, then it
probably matters.
you got to at least believe that they can have a chance in a Game 7. They got to win. They got to win 2 in a row against Carolina now. They just did that in Games 3 and 4. So, yeah, they can do it. I think I got to run. I can't tell if they've started yet or not, but I think they're probably about to start. So I'll go ahead and run off of here.
Sure, Alex. Appreciate you. Thursday, pre and post game, we will see Alex Daugherty pregame live at Poncho and Lefties. He'll be with 3HL and with me as we are on air and streaming across the street from Bridgestone Arena. Alex, go do your thing, man. Appreciate you.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right. He is Alex Daugherty of A to Z Sports. You know him for his excellent Nashville Predators coverage on A to Z Sports. Of course, I'm Lucas Panzica of 104.5 The Zone. Appreciate all of you for hanging out with us in the chat. I know a lot of you are disappointed. Hit us with questions, comments, concerns live on 104.5 The Zone's Twitter and Twitch streams, A to Z Sports on Facebook and YouTube as the Preds fall in Game 5, 3-2. Now behind in the series, 3-2. Returning to Bridgestone Arena Thursday for Game 6. It's win or go home for the Nashville Predators as they look to force a Game 7 in Raleigh, North Carolina. That would be on Saturday, but the Preds fall 3-2 today. Jordan Staal with the game winner in overtime. And look, like we said during Alex's exit, the disappointment exacerbated by the fact that the Preds started so positively in every period, including the overtime today. A penalty right out the gate. You're on the power play, never really were able to get settled in on the penalty. And then just like that, about a minute into the power play, Alex Carrier with an interference call that makes it 4-on-4. And the Canes took all the momentum after that. And Jordan Staal knocks in the game winner past UC Saros, who had another great performance for the Predators. It's hard to say a great performance squandered because you felt like the Preds played well. Of course, finishing issues from, like Alex said, the top two lines that struggled today on the forecheck in the offensive zone to finish chances. Ryan Johansson, Matt Duchene, just with Roman Josi in front of the net, chances that they got to pull the trigger on, that they got to at least get on net, and they were not able to get that done. So the Preds fall 3-2. Karen O'Keefe said, yes, the Preds can win on Thursday. Seth Stanley says, both Friday and Sunday, I was screaming in the stands, throw it on net. You never know what will happen, tip and rebound, etc. And look, Seth, I thought the Preds have done a better job of that after games 1 and 2 of, like I said to Alex, doing the intangible things, getting pucks on net, getting in front of blocks. When you looked at the blocked shots on Sunday, not from today, but on Sunday, the Preds outblocked the Hurricanes 31-15 in that game. They averaged 14 blocks per game through the first 3 games of the series. And I know none of those games went to double overtime except Game 3. But in Game 3, the Preds had 20 blocks to show you how much more of an effort there was to get in front of pucks on Sunday. They outblocked the Canes. As I pull up the numbers here, I believe it was 15-12. But 16 to 12 is what it was. But look, those are the things the Preds have to have the advantage in. Also out hit today by the Hurricanes 66 to 40. That's not a stat that you really want to take too much stock in or dive into too much, but 66 to 40 is a large discrepancy. And we've said it leading up to the series and throughout the series that the physicality had to be a huge X factor for the Preds if they wanted any shot in this series. Tim Barber says definitely could use some power play goals. Hopefully Thursday is rocking in Smashville. Tim, it certainly will be rocking in Smashville as Bridgestone Arena announces increased capacity for Game 6. Over 14,000 fans on Thursday. So that place certainly will be going wild, though it certainly looked like there were over 14,000 fans over the weekend in Bridgestone Arena. Joseph Dion says, one thing is for sure, we got to work on our power play in the offseason. Look, it's the same conversation that last offseason, the offseason before that, probably the offseason before that the Preds have had. And now they went into this game 2 of 19 on the power play, 0 for 3 tonight, make that 2 of 22 on the penalty kill. On the flip side, the Canes 2 of 14 heading into this game, they convert 1 of 3 power play opportunities, so make that 3 of 17 as I use my elementary sports broadcasting math skills. I think I got that right? 3 of 17 on the power play. So the Preds penalty kill has really been a lot of what's kept them in this series, and that's to say UC Saros has been what's kept them in this series. But you have to credit what they've done defensively on the penalty kill against the Canes group. That was one of the best power plays in the NHL throughout the regular season, the second best power play in the league in the regular season, to be exact. Tim Barber says we got lucky with that goal challenge. Could have been huge if we lost that tie and then kill a penalty. Actually, Tim, I really agree with you there. I was surprised that goal was overturned. Huge credit to the Predators coaching staff, the video review challenging that call. That's a great move by John Hines. And what I really did not think, if I'm being told, if I can say this to you guys, I did not think it was goalie interference. Chris Mason, I was watching the Valley Sports podcast. Chris Mason agreed with me. I heard the CNBC broadcasters were saying the opposite, saying that it was interference. I thought Roman Josi was more in the way of UC Saros than I believe it was Warren Fogle who got called for the interference by the Carolina Hurricanes. He's the one who got called for it. I thought really Josi, if anything, is the one who interfered with Saros on that goal. So the Preds certainly caught a break there. Evan says, Buck said not to do math on air. Yes, Evan, that is a great rule to go by in this industry. We have been burned by that on the 104.5 The Zone airwaves before, but I think I have that math right, that the Preds went into this game 2 of 19 on the power play. They were 0 for 3. That makes them 2 of 22. The Carolina Hurricanes went into this game 2 of 14 in the series. That is, they were 1 for 3, and that makes them 3 of 17. Joseph Dion says, do you think we need to make some roster moves? We talked about this, at least on 104.5 The Zone, where I produced the Buck Rising Show, 104.5 The Zone. We had Sean McIndoe of The Athletic, a national hockey writer, and he came on the show talking about the Preds' top-line forwards being the biggest hole on this roster. And I thought that was interesting because, of course, the Preds' highest-paid players on the team are the top-line forwards when you think about Ryan Johansson and Matt Duchene. And we even asked Sean about the Matt Duchene experience. I believe Buck's question specifically was, Sean, Matt Duchene, what the hell? And Sean just kind of said, just his sigh, and his answer immediately after told you everything you need to know about the Matt Duchene experience, something that Sean McIndoe experienced himself as he lives in Ottawa and from Duchene's time with the Ottawa Senators. Look, I think right now that you got to look at that as the biggest hole in this roster because the Preds' depth is what has gotten them to this point. Alex Daugherty was saying it before he left to go to Preds media availability. The Preds' fourth line and third line is what kept them above the water today. Yakov Trenin had both of the Preds' goals today, not Roman Josi or Ryan Johansson or Matt Duchene or Philip Forsberg or even Mikael Granlund or Eric Haula or any of those guys. Ellie Tolvanen, who has yet to score in this series. So the Preds have a serious issue when it comes to stars living up to the billing and producing in the big moments. Matt Duchene scored the game-winning goal in double overtime on Friday, had a great performance on Sunday, but when it really mattered today, he was nowhere to be found in the offensive zone. And the same goes for Ryan Johansson, who missed a clear-cut chance there at the end of the game in the third period that would have put it away for the Nashville Predators. I think the most disappointing thing that if you're just joining us here on 104.5 The Zone, Twitter and Twitch streams, A to Z Sports on Facebook and YouTube. Thanks so much for everybody for stepping in. Hit us in the chat. You've all been great interacting. Questions, comments, concerns. Preds lose 3-2 in Game 5 in Raleigh, North Carolina, and the winless streak continues. The Preds have never won a Game 5 after losing Games 1 and 2. That continues after tonight. You thought that streak might be broken from the way they played through regulation, and Martin Necas with an incredible wraparound goal to get around UC Saros. And we talked about it a lot with Alex Daugherty, the strength of UC Saros. He's not Pecorine. He's not a hulking 6'4" figure between the pipes. He's athletic. He can read pucks well. His hand-eye coordination, his lateral movement is his biggest strength. And credit to Martin Necas, who took advantage of that and beat UC Saros with the wraparound, beating him to the post with that lateral movement that we've come to know so well from Saros, and tying it up in the third, and Jordan Stahl with the winner as it gets to 4-on-4 early in the overtime period. But again, the reason it's so disappointing, as I was saying before, it felt like today was the most pointed approach for the Preds in terms of how to knock this team off, at least on the road. I don't know how much of that second period was spent with Hurricanes fans, yelling obscenities at the referees, chanting, "Ref, you suck." Rod Brindamore, who's complained already about the referees, saying they've had to play the Predators and the referees in this series, he was active on the bench. The Hurricanes were frustrated. And that's what the Preds have to do, not just tonight. They got to do it in Game 6 in Nashville. They got to do it in Game 7 in Bridgestone, or in Raleigh, if that is to be the case, if the Preds can win and force that Game 7 on Thursday. That has to be the intangible that this team can pull off to extend this series. Frustrate them, get in front of them, create blocks like you did on Sunday with 31 blocks. Just get pucks on net, not trying to overthink things, not trying to get too cute. And I thought they did a solid job of that today, just getting pucks into traffic, getting pucks onto Nedeljkovic, who's had a great series, by the way, for all we've talked about with UC Saros, the rookie goalkeeper, or a goaltender, using a soccer term. The rookie, a lot of soccer talk lately around here. The rookie goaltender for the Hurricanes has had an incredible series, and he gets the win tonight. He played not quite as well as UC Saros. Saros obviously took all the headlines as the Preds took both double overtime games, but my goodness, Nedeljkovic was incredible in both of those games. He's had an incredible breakout rookie season, and he played very well today as well. So the Predators fall 3-2 in Game 5. But again, it looked like a team that knows what it takes to beat this Carolina Hurricanes team. I think the Preds have adapted to this series. I think you got to credit John Hines for the way this team has kind of turned things around after losing Games 1 and 2. Talked about it before Game 5 tonight, rather, about that 9 line, the curveball that John Hines threw at Ron Brindamore and the Hurricanes, Matt Duchene, Ryan Johansson, Philip Forsberg. That's not something the Preds did really at all in the regular season, with the exception of the regular season finale against the Carolina Hurricanes in a game that really didn't matter. The Preds won 5-0. Both teams rested several key players as the standings were all set. The seeding was set in stone. That was the Pecorine send-off game for all of you that remember. Matt Duchene came in and scored 2 goals in that game, and then that line dissipated. You didn't think you'd see it again. John Hines had it in his back pocket, and he has deployed it. It worked over the weekend. Not enough production, really no production from that line today. Joseph Dion says, man, where is Forsberg at? Feel like we would have seen more of him scoring by now. Joseph, you're not wrong. Philip Forsberg with the opening goal in Game 1 in Raleigh, North Carolina, slithering up the crease, so to speak, and pushing a gorgeous finish past Nedeljkovic to give the Preds the 1-0 lead in that first period of Game 1. Since then, I don't want to say that Philip Forsberg has just fallen off the face of the earth. I think he's still very active. He did have one poor penalty with a trip today against the Hurricanes, but he just hasn't been scoring, and that's what he's there to do. Tim Barber says, thinking we might see Fabro on Thursday. That's going to be the big question, Tim, whether or not we see Dante Fabro. He's been one of those names that's kind of on the fringe that you wonder, okay, will he be in the lineup tonight? Will he be in the lineup tonight? As each game goes by, we haven't seen him in the lineup yet for any of the first 5 games, and the Preds struggle today with guys like Benning, guys like Ben Harper, as Alex Daugherty said. That last line of defense really struggled today for the Nashville Predators. I think Alex Carrier, I saw somebody in the chat as we started this stream that I'm not able to scroll up to see. Somebody said something about the play of Alex Carrier, that the Preds got to get him out of the lineup. I would actually tend to disagree with that. Yes, he had the interference call that led to Jordan Stahl's game-winning goal in overtime on the 4-on-4. He didn't have the best outing today, but I think Alex Carrier has been a nice surprise for the Preds in terms of defensemen, especially early on in games 1 and 2 when Roman Josi and Ryan Ellis were not really showing up. I thought Matthias Ekholm and Alex Carrier were really helping to carry the load for these Preds defensemen. But you've seen Eric Goodbranson in and out of the lineup in terms of defensemen. Do we see Dante Fabro back in the lineup for the Predators? Another name that we really haven't mentioned much is Rocco Grimaldi. Do we see that injection of speed with Rocco Grimaldi? Of course, a lot of you, I'm sure, are thinking of Victor Arvidsson, who is still technically day-to-day with a lower body injury. In my opinion, if Victor Arvidsson was playing well enough, then he would be out there. I think this is something that he would be able to overcome if he was able to help the team. I think Victor Arvidsson was just dropped out of the lineup because of his poor play. And I know Alex Daugherty agreed with me too when we talked about it before the game. Tim Barber says, how do we feel about getting to Game 7? Look, the Preds can win in Bridgestone Arena on Thursday. I mean, there's no question about that. And I think you saw some sort of formula of how they can get to that point here tonight in Raleigh, North Carolina. But it'll be interesting to see if they can get it done. The problem is, Tim, if you force a Game 7, you got to win Game 7, and that Game 7 will be in Raleigh, North Carolina. So you knew what we heard from Nick Cousins earlier today in media availability. Hey, it's playoff hockey. You got to take one on the road. You're not going to win the series in the Preds case if you don't take one on the road. They had to do it either tonight or Saturday. Obviously could not get it done tonight. You have to win in Raleigh, North Carolina on Saturday. But first, Tim, of course, as you pointed out, you got to force a Game 7, and you got to do that in front of a rocking Bridgestone Arena on Thursday as the capacity is upped to over 14,000 fans. That was announced earlier today. Evan says, I don't know who that is, but the Preds should add anyone who brings speed, honestly, referring to what I just said about Rocco Grimaldi, who didn't have a ton of production for the Preds. Everybody remembers that 4-goal game against the Detroit Red Wings where Rocco Grimaldi had a hat trick within 10 minutes of the first period. I've never seen anything like that. I'm sure most people haven't. I believe I was actually at that game. That was one of the last games I went to this season. It was an incredible individual performance. But Evan, the problem is I don't know that that's true. Yes, the Carolina Hurricanes are faster than the Nashville Predators, but the Preds cannot outskate the Carolina Hurricanes, and there is no change in this lineup that's going to change that. If anything, it's got to be the top line that increases their level of play. I asked Alex before the game, besides UC Saros, who we know is the number one reason the Preds will win in this series. He just is. That was the case over the weekend. That will continue to be the case. If the Preds are to take this series, it will be because UC Saros continues to stand on his head. So I asked him, besides UC Saros, what's the number one thing that needs to happen for the Preds to help out their goaltender tonight and in this series? And he said it's that 9 line, that they have to keep that level of play at the same heights that it was over the weekend in terms of Forsberg, Johansson, and Duchesne. And that level of play was simply not there tonight. Tim Barber says, I thought Harper and Benning had a decent game, but could be a change. Maybe Grimaldi for Tolvanen. That's actually not a bad point, Tim. I could see Ellie Tolvanen coming out of the lineup. That's a guy that everybody was screaming for. My goodness, it feels like ages ago after Game 1 where you felt like people were blaming the Preds' offensive woes on Ellie Tolvanen not in the lineup. How can you put the guy who scored 6 power play goals not in the lineup? And yes, that looks bad when you go 0 for 3 on the power play and only generates 2 shots like they did in Game 1. But as we've seen, Ellie Tolvanen is not fixing these teams' offensive issues. God, honestly, it boils down. It's so simple. The Preds stars have to play like stars. They didn't tonight. Ryan Johansson has to finish that chance late in the third period. Matt Duchesne has to finish that chance late in the third period. They didn't do that. That's the reason the Preds lost tonight. That is the reason the Preds lost tonight. They weathered the storm, which is what you have to do against this Carolina Hurricanes team, and I thought they did it well. Yes, they were outshot, but they're going to be outshot in this series. They've been outshot in every game. That will continue to be the case. They were outshot today 37-25. I think a stat to pay more attention to, quite honestly, is the faceoff percentage. Over 58% for the Hurricanes. Preds at a 41.3% clip. Look, these are two top 10 teams in terms of face-off percentage throughout the NHL regular season, and that matters in the offensive zone, especially when UC Saros is covering up as many pucks as he is, and the Preds are facing a lot of face-offs in their own zone. You got to win those, and the Preds were on the losing end of that battle tonight. It gave the Hurricanes just that much more puck possession time, that much more time to pepper UC Saros. Rather, Tim Barber says his fourth time's a charm. We'll see what happens. I would have been shocked. I said going in, I will be shocked if the Preds are able to win 3 straight against the Carolina Hurricanes, and even more shocked if they were to win tonight and then go back home and win a 4th straight against this team. I did not see that happening. I said from the start, if the Preds are going to win this series, it has to be in 7 games. Now, full disclosure, I did not pick the Preds to win this series. I said the Preds lose in 5 or 6, which could still happen. If they lose at home on Thursday, then they will lose in 6. I will not be proud of that prediction. I don't want that to happen. I want the Nashville Predators to continue winning. I want them to continue this run. And look, this is a resilient group. We saw an extension of that today. We saw it throughout the regular season. I said after the first 2 games when they lost 1 and 2 in Raleigh, North Carolina, the turnaround in Bridgestone Arena of winning those 2 games in double overtime was not like a microcosm of the season, with how dreadful it was in the first half of the Preds campaign, and then whatever happened in that locker room in March, the vibes that entered that locker room in March that turned the regular season around. Felt like that's what happened in the postseason in games 3 and 4. That went away a little bit today simply because they lost, although I do think it was a good performance. All right. Appreciate everybody for hanging out with us. It's been fun. If you've got any parting thoughts, hit us in the chat. Again, live on 104.5 The Zone's Twitter and Twitch, on A to Z Sports, Facebook, and YouTube. We will be back on Thursday, and we have a ton of pregame coverage for you guys. Cannot wait to bring you pregame coverage right outside of Bridgestone Arena as 3HL 104.5 The Zone will broadcast live from Poncho and Lefties until 7 p.m. 3HL, who you all know and love, typically go from 3 to 6. They will broadcast live until 7 p.m. at Poncho and Lefties rooftop on Broadway, right across the street from Bridgestone Arena. And then myself and Alex Daugherty will step in on the 104.5 The Zone airwaves and 104.5 The Zone TV and A to Z Sports streams from 7 until 8 o'clock, bringing you exclusive pregame coverage of the Nashville Predators Game 6 at home against the Carolina Hurricanes, and it's win or go home. Preds will look to force a Game 7 on Saturday. I will leave you all with this. Again, I think the Preds have carved out a way to beat this Carolina Hurricanes team. They were frustrating this team tonight. They were frustrating the crowd tonight. Everything that was happening around the ice in terms of the officials, the atmosphere in the arena, I thought favored the Preds a lot of times, and it was evident on the ice. The Carolina Hurricanes are just a better hockey team. The Preds have to continue to frustrate the Carolina Hurricanes, and I think that's what they will continue to try to do on Thursday. But again, stars have to be stars. Ryan Johansson has to finish that puck in front of the net. Matt Duchene has to do the same. Philip Forsberg has to rediscover some type of scoring form because UC Saros is continuing to play like UC Saros. He's not getting enough help on the offensive end. Yakov Trenin scoring both goals for the Preds today. That's not who you want to be filling up the score sheet if you are the Nashville Predators. Tim Barber says Carolina fans cannot be happy with a 9:30 Eastern start time. Tim, you're damn right. I don't know that Nashville fans are happy about an 8:30 Central start time, but that's what we have Thursday night. Again, live from Poncho and Lefties. We'll have you covered with pregame coverage right here on 104.5 The Zone TV and A to Z Sports, and postgame as well with myself, Alex Daugherty. Will Bowling will be involved. Thank you all so much for helping us out in the chat. The Preds drop Game 5 in Raleigh, North Carolina, 3-2 in overtime, surrendering a game-winning goal to Jordan Stahl in a 4-on-4 situation very early in the overtime period, and they now trail in the series 3-2. For Alex Daugherty of A to Z Sports, who had to leave, he is currently at Preds post-game media availability. I am Lucas Panzica. Preds fall in Game 5 back in Nashville for Game 6. We'll talk to you then.